Hi, my name is Martin Orlando. Welcome to my hobby YouTube channel. Today I have more of the interesting albums in my collection, starting with Motley Crue and Theater of Pain. This is their classic album with the two faces, comedy and drama. And there they are. Two hit songs from this one, Home Sweet Home and Smoking in the Boys' Room. And there's the inner part, lyrics, and another like poster picture there in the album. And that's Motley Crue's Theater of Pain. Next album is Olivia Newton-John's Totally Hot album. This album went Platinum Plus, which sold over 1 million copies. Songs on this album: Please Don't Keep Me Waiting, Dancing Round and Round, Deeper Than the Night, my favorite, Borrowed Time. A Little More Love was the biggest hit on this album. Totally Hot was pretty good. Boats Against the Current and Give Me Some Lovin'. And there's the inside. And some of the lyrics. That's album Totally Hot by Olivia Newton-John. Up next is Roy Orbison and Friends. This was a really cool album. It's a live album, a black and white night. He had a lot of friends: Bruce Springsteen, Tom Waits, Elvis Costello. Don't remember who that is. I'd have to look it up. But a lot of his hit songs. And that was Roy Orbison and Friends. Let's see what the inside looked like. Oh, that was T-Bone Burnett. That was a picture of. And he had some other people that joined him with this. I know Bonnie Raitt was in there. Jennifer Warnes, Katie Lang, that's Roy Orbison and Friends, a black and white night live. Next I have The Outfield and Bangin'. Songs on this album: Somewhere in America, Banging on My Heart, No Surrender, that's my favorite on here, Moving Target. Since You've Been Gone was the biggest hit on this album. It's like a baby's diaper and just a baby, big baby stomping. That's The Outfield. And there's the lyrics, the words. And there's the three guys from The Outfield: John Spinks, Tony Lewis, and Alan Jackman. That's The Outfield and Bangin'. Up next, I got Dolly Parton, Linda Ronstadt and Emmylou Harris, and Trio. They joined forces there. Wildflowers was the big hit on this one. Let's just go through. To Know Him Is to Love Him, cover. Just an interesting album. I wanted to show you these. And there's the inside, the words. And this was like a cutout, like, you know, those paper doll cutouts. That's the album Trio by Dolly Parton, Linda Ronstadt, and Emmylou Harris. Up next, I got Pink Floyd's Animals album. This was a gatefold. And there were long versions. This is a progressive album, of course. Pink Floyd Animals, Pigs on the Wing, Dogs, and Sheep. And there's the words on both sides. Dogs barking on the one song was really cool. That's Pink Floyd and Animals. Okay, next I got Buster Poindexter. This is David Johansen. And he did this special album with all his friends here. Big band. The big hit on this one was Hot, Hot, Hot. A couple of songs, Smack Dab in the Middle, and Cannibal also made the chart. He did House of the Rising Sun cover, and I think that was it on this album. He's drinking a martini there. David Johansen is Buster Poindexter. Alright, sometimes it's hard to get those back in. There we go. Next I have David Lee Roth, A Little Ain't Enough. This was an interesting album of his. That was the hit, and there was one other hit song on here. Drop in the Bucket. I think Lady Luck did okay too. And the words. And someone's getting eaten by a shark there. That's David Lee Roth, A Little Ain't Enough. This was from 1991 and was one of the last albums I got. And next is the group Skid Row. And the big song on this one was 18 in Life. Rattlesnake Shake was pretty cool. I Remember You is my favorite song on this album. Okay, and that's Skid Row. And there's the words on both sides. And that's Skid Row. That was their debut album too. Up next, I have one of Sonny and Cher's albums, All I Ever Need Is You. This one had All I Ever Need Is You, Here Comes That Rainy Day Feeling, Crystal Clear Muddy Waters, A Cowboy's Work Is Never Done, Somebody. Those are all the big hits. Inside, back in the days, the early 70s, they used to showcase these other albums that you can get on this record label. This record label is called Cap. And there's some more. And these records were much heavier back in the day. That's Sonny and Cher, All I Ever Need Is You. Up next, I got Rick Springfield, Rock of Life. That was one of the hits, World Start Turning. The biggest hit on here, One Reason to Believe. I'd say that's my favorite song on here too. And there's the words. And there's Rick in an old town somewhere. Okay, that's Rick Springfield on Rock of Life. Up next is the band Squeeze, Babylon and On. And 6 members of Squeeze. We got Chris Difford, Glenn Tilbrook, Julian Holland, Gilson Lavin, Keith Wilkinson, and Andy Metcalf. The big hit on here was Hourglass. 853-5937 was a good hit too. Footprints did really well. And that's the group Squeeze. And just some of the words there. Babylon and On is the name of that album. Up next, they got the Stray Cats, Built for Speed. This had Rock This Town, Stray Cat Strut. Those were the 2 big hits on this one. Brian Setzer, Slim Jim Phantom, and Lee Rocker. And this was just a plain insert. That's the Stray Cats and Built for Speed. Up next, we got Steel Heart. And the big songs on this one, let's see. I'll Never Let You Go. That's probably the big one on here. Okay. This was one of those plain inserts. Static sleeve, they call those. And that's Steel Heart. I think that was their first album. Up next, I have the Talking Heads and Naked. This had the chimpanzee on the front. Cool songs on here, Blind, Nothing But Flowers, and it's a gatefold, and there it is. The songs and who played on the songs. And that's the group Talking Heads and Naked. Up next, I got Three Dog Night, Around the World. With Three Dog Night, this is their live album. And this was a gatefold and a lot more. These pieces came out like that, and the record comes out. And let's see what we have on here. Joy to the World, Black and White, Pieces of April, Out in the Country, Mama Told Me Not to Come, a drum solo, an old-fashioned love song, and Jam. The second side, you can see that. That opens up, and the second album comes out. One-man band, Never Been to Spain, Going in Circles, Family of Man, Midnight Runaway, Liar, Good Feelin' 1957, Organ Solo, and Eli's Common. And that's Three Dog Night and their live album. Another one of my favorite groups of all time. And up next, I got U2 live, Under a Blood Red Sky. This was a special LP that was put out. Some of their early hit songs, Gloria, I Will Follow, Sunday Bloody Sunday, New Year's Day were the big ones. And this was not anything special there. Paper sleeve. That's U2 live, Under a Blood Red Sky. Next, I have the group Vixen, Rev It Up. They're an all-girl group. Rev It Up, How Much Love, and that's it. Just those two hits. And that was a static sleeve. Vixen and Rev It Up. As you can see, I love all kinds of music. And now we got Warrant, Dirty, Rotten, Filthy, Stinkin' Rich. That was the name of this album. This one had the Down Boys, Sometimes She Cries, Heaven. I'd say Heaven was the best song on this one. 32 pennies, and they somehow managed to get 32 pennies on the back of the the album there. And that's the group Warrant and Dirty, Rotten, Filthy, Stinkin' Rich. That's the name of the album. Up next, I have Dionne Warwick and Reservations for Two. This is one of my favorite Dionne Warwick albums. Had the hit Love Power she did with Jeffrey Osborne, and Kenny G was on the background vocal sounds. Reservations for Two was the title song. She did that with Kashif. No One in the World. She did a cover of one of Anita Baker's hit songs, and it really came out better, I'd say. Really nice. And she did a song with Smokey Robinson too, You're My Hero. A lot of producers on this, Burt Bacharach and Carol Bayer Sager, Jerry Knight, Aaron Zigman, Smokey Robinson, Kashif, and Barry Manilow. Produced by Clive Davis. It's one of the Arista records. Here's the words. And that's the album Diane and Reservations for Two. Dionne Warwick. Up next, I have a White Lion album. I showed you one of their other albums last time. This is the album Big Game, and a lion hiding in the wheat field. This had Going Home Tonight, Little Fighter, And it had a cover of the Golden Earrings hit, Radar Love. Really cool version. We have Mike Tramp, Vito Bratta, Greg D'Angelo, and James Lomenzo. Another one of my favorite bands of all time is White Lion. There they are again. And the words. That's their album Big Game and White Lion. Three more to go here. Kim Wilde, Another Step. English-born singer. Say You Really Want Me. You Keep Me Hanging On was the big hit and went number 1 on my chart. Another Step Closer to You. It's one of my favorites. That's Kim Wilde, Another Step. That was the title hit song too. Another paper sleeve on that one. Now I got the group Winger, In the Heart of the Young. This was their second album. I think this was their best of the many of their albums. Can't Get Enough, Miles Away is my favorite song on this one. Easy Come, Easy Go. Those were all the big ones. And that's the group Winger. Another paper sleeve. In the Heart of the Young, their second album. And the last one of this interesting albums is Weird Al Yankovic, and Even Worse. He did a cover of Michael Jackson's song. As you know, this is novelty music. The song was called Fat. He had a song called Stuck in the Closet with Vanna White. That ended up doing much better on my chart. And I Think I'm a Clone Now. And those were the probably only 3 songs that made it. But really funny album. Interesting. Let's see if I can get that piece out of here. I played this a lot. The words, they made it look just like Michael Jackson's album, but he did some weird poses. Foot behind his back there. Alright, I thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.